You're now listening to the Palmetto Dugout Show, hosted by State Director Sammy Esposito, Associate Scouts Drew Stewart and Sean Smith, that discuss all things related to amateur baseball in South Carolina. Here are your hosts.
Welcome into episode 49 of the Palmetto Dugout Show. I'm Drew Stewart. We got Coach Espo. What's going on, Coach?
Coach, what's going on today? Fired up. First one, we got the new MacBook I'm working with today. So, a lot of high end technology floating over here. We got a new fake GoPro over here. We're gonna bust out here this upcoming couple weeks. So, ready to roll around here.
Ready to roll. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. Coach, we're 7 days away from the most anticipated event of the year. Exactly 7 days.
7 whole days. We're ready to ride. I was thinking about this morning. I took my daughter to some swim lessons. Thinking to myself, next week at this point in time, I'm going to be barreling down the road to Atlanta and ready to roll for two of the biggest events across the country.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to sleep for the next 6 nights.
Like a baby, because you ain't going to sleep much next week. So.
Like a baby. Hey, like Coach said, we got a lot of new technology being rolled out for those future games, junior futures, to produce content better than years past. That's our goal, is to always do better than the last year.
Yeah, with that said, we're going to try, obviously last year we did a phenomenal job, and I say you guys did a phenomenal job, kind of pubbing our players, the state of South Carolina, Team Carolina, and we're going to continue to do that. But one thing we're going to try to do a little bit more this year, a little hint, you guys will have to see, you listeners, is pub the competition, the other players, we're going to say, and try to let everybody in this state, let them know how valuable and how competitive and how talented these future games and junior future games are, right? I mean, last year, the future games, I don't think we saw an arm under 85, 86 miles an hour. Everything was 88 to 92 and above for the hitters. And then, ultimately for the junior futures, it was really a very similar thing. We saw a young guy from Ohio that was 88, 89 junior futures game, 90 miles an hour, and I think that's one thing that we need to do, not only our players and keep pumping our guys, which we're going to touch on here in a little bit. We're going to go above and beyond the call of duty for pumping our guys down there, but also just letting this great state of South Carolina, letting them know how talented these players are down there. Just because it's an uncommitted event does not mean it is an untalented event. And I think only going forward with these new recruiting rules, it's going to make this event better and better. But it's something that, because we get a lot of people that throw names at us and you go, hey, this guy's a nice player, and no offense, but we want to take down and we want to take these guys down there to show the world how great South Carolina is. And there's some really good players in the state, but we're trying to take the top of the top to go down there and compete against some of the best talent out there.
Yeah, you nailed it. Hopefully some of this content will open some eyes throughout the great state of South Carolina in terms of our competition as well as our talent. We'll have the great and wonderful Blake down there being able to get some stuff cranked out. Graphics are going to come out soon as we start to reveal some things. And the graphics are really good, as me and Coach both have seen already. So with that being said, we're 7 days out, so we're going to go ahead and reveal this. We'll start with the future game roster here. As you know, Team Carolina's is split, North Carolina, South Carolina. We have 10 South Carolinians a part of Team Carolina's this year, more than in previous years, correct, Coach?
That is correct. That's correct. We keep growing it, and here soon, I have a feeling it's going to be a Team South Carolina. It might be a year or two away still, but we're getting close to where we're going to become Team South Carolina, not just Team Carolinas.
We already have a Team South Carolina. Well, it's called Team Carolina 2 for junior futures, but as we know, it's Team South Carolina, which we'll get to here shortly after our future games. So we're going to kind of talk about some things that stand out for each guy that are on this roster, and we'll start off with 2025 Andrew Palmer from Oceanside Collegiate. He is a alum from 2022 future games as well for Team Carolina. And if I remember correctly, Coach, he showed out pretty well in the last future games.
He did. He was the only member of Team Carolina down there to launch a home run. So and hit it off a big time arm and hit it a long way. But that's the one thing that obviously sticks out with Andrew is his bat. As a young guy, hitting, in the thick of the order of obviously the best team, or arguably one of the most talented teams, best teams here in the state of South Carolina down there in Oceanside. And it's you look at him, he's big, he's strong, he kind of fits the bill. But one thing that doesn't really stick out and people don't go for is his athleticism, his speed. He's a 6'8" runner. He's done that multiple times. I have a feeling he might be a little bit better down there at the future games, but he gets better and better in that department every time we see. And I know he bounces around. Where does he play? Plays a little second base for his high school, a little out first base. We're going to try to. We might have to bounce around a little bit at first base, but just stick him out in the outfield, left field, and let him try to launch some balls down there at Lake Point.
You talk with all of these guys we're about to talk about, the measurables we would think would only get better at this event with that adrenaline pumping. All those stats that come through that velo, 60 times exit velocity, we imagine is going to be higher than in previous times we've seen them. And that really holds true for 2025 right-handed pitcher Lou Jack Cole from Christchurch.
No doubt. Lou Jack, he's been a fun one for us, right? We got a chance to watch him last summer at the Top Prospect Games. And I remember he throws, it was 84, 85, maybe 86 last year. And he just kept throwing fastballs right by guys. And we kind of paired him up. If you remember, we paired him up against the best hitters. One of the guys we got facing is going to be at the future games. And we faced him against those guys, and he just stuffed fastballs by him. And then as the year goes by, we keep hearing great things. You got a chance to watch him throw a brief stint, I think a 1-inning stint in a high school game this spring. But he was at the border battle, a couple weeks ago and was only able to throw 1 inning because he was going off to compete for his travel ball team. But it was the same thing. But it was now all of a sudden it was 88, 89. And it's very funky, right? You see the spin. The spin's not anything crazy, but it's a fastball that goes by everybody. It's kind of a lower release height with big extension out front, so it's almost an invisible fastball. There's all these measurables now, but back in the day, you just called it an invisible, and it went by people. So Lou Jack, he's the velocity keeps increasing. The slider is kind of a shorter, more of a cutterish type pitch, but that fastball definitely plays up big time for him where it's, it might not light up the gun and call it, mid-90s, low to mid-90s, but the fastball just goes by every single hitter.
Yeah, I've seen it. We've seen him several times. Saw him at Christchurch. Don't think I've seen him get squared up yet in games that we've seen. So expect that from him down there as well. He'll face some better hitters, but that adrenaline will be pumping, so we expect some big things from him as well. And then we're staying in the upstate here with this one. That's Will Craddock, 2025 middle infielder from T.L. Hanna High School.
Man, Will, we got a chance to watch him this spring, right? Got a chance to see him quite a bit. Saw him last year, saw him this spring. The first thing you see him, it's the body, right? It's 6'3", it's long and lean. He moves well in the infield. He's got really good hands, really good actions. And the initial part with Will, right, is like everybody's always like, oh, he can play defense. Will he hit? Well, he's been wearing it out this summer. Hitting for power, driving the ball around the park. So he is like the prototypical pretty shortstop, right? Like he's long, he's lean, he's got the actions. He fits the bill over there. So I think he's going to open up a lot of eyes. I know there's a lot of eyes on him already in this state, but I think he'll have a chance to open up a lot of eyes across the country, people that come out to watch him play out there. But it's easy, right? You see him out there and you go, ooh, that guy's good. He's not a hard one to really, you don't have to really, look too hard into that one. But he kind of showed, everything we needed to when we saw him in this high school, right? You saw him make plays up the middle, backhand, come get it, showed arm strength. And now, the bat continuing to get better and better and better as he gets older.
Yeah, he's one of those prototypical T.L. Hanna shortstops who they seem to get into Power 5 programs very recently and often. So he's probably going to do some. I watched him against, I believe it was Dutch Fork, had a big game. Every time I've seen him play in a high school game, he's put up some big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're just going to stay in the upstate the whole time. Going with 2025 right-handed pitcher Landon Fowler from Powdersville High School.
Yeah, Landon's a guy we got high hopes for, right? I mean, obviously he's got high hopes for himself, and his coach has got high hopes. But Landon, he's been a catcher, right, majority of his life, and now I think, and he's going to have a chance to keep doing both. For us, he's going to go down there and just pitch. But he was at, we saw him at a scout day, and it's on the bullpen. It's nice and easy. The field we're at, they had some turf down, so it was a little uneven with his footwork, but it was just like playing catch. It was like 87, 88. Just with a nice, easy bullpen. I have a feeling he's going to come out and put up some big numbers down there. I think it's going to be a low 90s arm. With the breaking ball keeps getting better. We saw him at the beginning of the spring, right? And it was kind of a mid 80s, upper 80s arm, and it keeps getting better and better and better out there. And the athleticism speaks for itself. I think at the scout day, too, he comes out there out of the chute behind the plate, too, before he got on the mound, like a 1-9-2-0, just slinging balls all over the place. But he's going to be that big-time prototypical power arm right-hander. And I think he'll have a lot of people knocking on that door for him just because of the athleticism, the size, the strength, the arm action. And again, like you talked about earlier, a lot of our guys, they're progressing the right way. It's not like we saw him earlier in the spring and it was like 88, 89, he's going backwards. It's kind of the other way. It was that mid-80s. Like you said earlier, throughout the spring, the breaking ball keeps getting better. Kind of saw him earlier, like, it's breaking ball's okay.
Yeah.
But, it's like a lot of young guys, they don't really know what they're doing. But that breaking ball keeps getting better. And obviously the arm strength and that athleticism speaks for itself. Worst case scenario, he's going to look good in the uniform out there on the mound.
That's all that matters. You look at him, he's been pitching for close to a year now, so he's made a ton of progression in just a little over a year. And like that slider has really developed into a legit 2-pitch. So it'll be exciting to see how he performs on the big stage. Moving back down to the lower state now with 2025 catcher Stow Rogers from James Island High School, or Charter, however you want to say it there. But excited about this one. We've seen him a lot. Yeah,
big Stow. He's another guy that we've got a chance to watch over scout days. We got a chance to watch over high school games, then come back to other scout days and other events. And, he was at the preseason All-State before we got a chance to watch. Stow sticks out, one, athleticism, size, how he looks. But it's kind of easy for him. Can really hit, can really swing the bat, shows power, it's progressing behind the plate. Nothing is like he's just there. And I think this is one thing for a catcher that you don't recognize him really too much as a catcher because he's not making wind sprints to the backstop, right? A lot of times you recognize catchers is because it's bad things. Make nice, easy throws, accurate throws down to the second base, receives the ball, gets it back to the catcher or pitcher. It's like an offensive lineman, right? You only recognize an offensive lineman when they give up a sack, right? They do the bad thing. So with Stow, he's a big bat, and the defensive part behind there keeps progressing. Not that it was bad, but it keeps getting better and better the more he plays and catches some of these higher end arms. And he's having a big summer, and his team, team lead down there keeps doing, ruffling some feathers by beating some people down there. So it's he does a good job of handling the pitching staff there, and obviously the bat sticks out. I expect big things for him, coming in there, catching these guys and showing that bat and what he can do.
Yeah, obviously the bat sticks out from that preseason tournament as well. When James Allen was down there, he had a big week there. Seemed to be a very hard out in that tournament. And then we'll move over to Conway here in 2025 outfielder Justin Sheffield. I know I'm a big fan.
No doubt. I think we're all big fans, right? I mean, I had this conversation with somebody the other day about him. And so so I went back and looked. He was at a scout day 2 summers, really right at the beginning of 2 summers ago. And he comes out and it was like a 70-some mile an hour arm. It was like a 7.3, 760. Then he comes back to another event, Top Prospects last year. All of a sudden now the arm's like 81 and it's like a 7.2 something 60. Then he comes to preseason All-State. And now it's like an 84 mile an hour arm from the outfield. And it's like a 7.1. Right? Then he goes to the border battle, and now it's 87 from the outfield. And now he's like a 7.0 run. So this is a young man who obviously is going in the right direction with all the measurables, right? And then on top of that, it's bat speed. It's a good swing. A square, and this is, people go, oh, it's a showcase. Well, then he goes to the border battle and gameplay, and he smokes multiple balls off good arms and shows a good swing and bat speed and all those things. So the measurables are all there, but also the production in game. So, for us, he's a guy that I know we fielded phone calls from colleges on that are asking about and kind of getting our opinion. But this is a young man who is the epitome of progressing the right way, right? And I think a lot of that is obviously puts in his hard work of what he's doing, but that's just also more play as he keeps getting older and maturing. But Justin is a young man that we're extremely high on, and kind of battled North Carolina and made sure we got him in for us to go down there and show out.
Yeah, no doubt that progression has been real. It seems like we've seen him at about 10 events. So we'll make this one an 11th one, and only hope that progression continues for him in the future games. And then we head over to Silver Bluff in 2025 right-handed pitcher Bradley Anderson.
Yeah, Bradley, this is a young man who, and I always kind of joke, that area of the state for us might as well be like Georgia, it seems like. It's hard for us to get kids from down there, even though it ain't that far from Columbia here. But, he pitched, played with a team out of Georgia, summer ball, and he threw in some events down in Lake Point. And those Georgia guys reached out to us right away and was like, you guys need to get him. He's a little bit smaller frame, 5'10", 5'11", right-hander, but it's a very quick arm, upper 80s with a really good breaking ball. So Bradley, now he's going to be able to throw on the back end of this event for us because down there they have started school. They're getting ready to start school. So I think this is his last week of summer break, he told me. But so he's going to come in on the back end and throw. But with that, watching his arm action, watching that arm speed, with that breaking ball, he's going to be a good one to come in there and get some outs and open some eyes. Kind of like I said, that part of the state, there's
Black
two
hole,
parts of the state. There's two parts of the state. It's like down there by Hilton Head and over there by that Aiken Augusta area. They might as well just all of a sudden become Georgia. But I think he's going to go down there and show out, do what he's done all summer long with that arm speed and that quickness in there and be able to spin that breaking ball in there.
Yeah, he'll be a fun one to watch. Seen videos, obviously, so we'll get to see him live and in person. So it'll be exciting to see that one. And we move over to the Charleston area in 2025 infielder Brady Gold from Wando High School, which I know you're high on, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, if we got some bloodlines, his dad back in the day was a first rounder. I know that was an arm as a first rounder, but Brady, this young man, we've seen him at scout days, we've seen him at showcase events, we've seen him in high school games, and Brady can bounce around. Second baseman, middle infielder, can go to the outfield, kind of go all over the place, but has that frame, that big projectable frame, broad shoulders, long and lean, filling out the bat plays. Where's he going to play in the infield? Only time's going to tell. We're going to kind of put him at second base down there. Maybe if we got to slide him over to the third a little bit. Heck, if we got to put him in the outfield, that's the good thing with him. He can kind of bounce all over the place. But he kind of has that projection all over him with his frame and how he keeps getting better and better in there, and played in in the middle lineup of a good Wando team that made a run in the playoffs, and obviously is a very talented group down there always. So Brady, this young man, he's another guy that has come to a lot of different things, and he's had some some ups and downs in our events, but I'll tell you one thing that he always does in gameplay, he plays it the right way, which is obviously the ticket, for him moving forward. But he kind of does it all, and we're excited to see how he's going to react in that environment down there.
Gamer, as we like to call it. And we're going to stay in that same area. Coach has seen this guy, have not. It was a very recent guy, and that is 2025 right-handed pitcher Aidan Vorlik from Somerville High School, Coach.
Coach, this was fun. So we were down last week. We ran a scout day with the KC Royal Scout Day team, and I'm glad we got this thing in. It was kind of bouncing back around. Obviously, there was some weather down there, but we wound up getting it in down. They ran a workout, so we ran their scout day down at Charleston Southern. And their coach kept going, "Hey, when's Aidan throwing? When's Aidan throwing? When's Aidan throwing?" And, he's just kind of hanging out down there, messing around with the guys. And he winds up throwing. He was one of the last guys to throw. They were kind of pumping him up. Yeah. And I was joking with their coaches. I go, "Hey, you're going to save your best for last." And he goes, "I'm more about getting mine early." And that's what the coach told me. And I go, "We'll see." And so Aidan comes out, and he's throwing in the first pitch. It looks like he's literally playing catch. Just nice and easy. Wow. It's like 88.8. We're like, whoa. I'm like, who's this guy? And it goes in there. And all of a sudden, breaking ball's coming in. And it's a plus breaking ball. For all you, guys out there that are in the analytics end of the data, you're right, the induced vertical break. With breaking balls, right, anything negative going down, 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 and anything above a -8 is considered good with the break on that. Well, his was about a -12. So obviously a lot of downward break, a lot of action to it down there, and he was a fun one to watch. And talking to those coaches, plays for Somerville down there, and very talented team, young guys. So I know Somerville is going to be expecting a ton out of him on the mound. He also hits. He'll go down there and work out on workout day as a position guy, but he's just going to pitch in the games down there. So it was fun to watch, and that's right. That's what we talked about before. That's what these scout days, that's what these events are big for us. It gets us a chance to see guys. This is a young man who didn't throw a ton for his high school, right? So, now we get a chance to see him down there. Boom! Now he's going to be on the national stage, and I know there's already colleges that were watching him, and he's going to have a chance to go open up a lot of doors for him, moving forward. But that was big for us to go down there and see him. And I turned to the coach and I joked. I go, "See, save your best for last." But it was definitely fun. I mean, he sat there. It was just a bullpen setting, very easy. It was 87, 88, touched an 89 with a plus breaking ball. So it'll be fun to see him down there and see if he can light it up down there.
Yeah, no doubt. And here on the Palmetto Dugout Show, we might have just saved our best for last on the future game roster reveal here. According to our rankings, he is the top uncommitted 2025 in the state, ranked at number 3 in the state, and that is 2025 infielder catcher Peter Mershon from Eastside, Coach.
Coach, we talked about a little bit of bloodlines with Brady Gold earlier. You talked about bloodlines with Peter Mershon. I mean, I think he's had like 34 brothers, and they've all gone off to play college at a high level. And the Mershon family has been entrenched in high school baseball here in the state of South Carolina. And Peter, I mean, he's, last year as a freshman, and that's what I tell people all the time. Right? They go, I go, look, as a freshman in one of the best teams, state champion, East Side, hitting like the 2-3 hole.
Yep.
With players littered across college baseball and into professional baseball, draftees. Hit right in the middle of the lineup, 2-3 hole. Played third base every single day. Plays with one of the top travel ball teams with the Canes national team and hits in the middle of their lineup every single day, right? Then he comes back this year. He actually goes to our top prospect games last year, wears it out. And the good thing with Peter that people always say, he's just a hitter, 6'8" runner, right? Can move around the bases. He's a catcher, third baseman, first baseman, outfielder, athletic, can kind of go everywhere. Then he comes into high school. And, poor Peter this past high school season. all those guys that we just talked about he hit around are now off in either pro ball or at college. He's obviously the center, probably gets walked a ton, doesn't get it done. Goes off this summer, wearing it out again with the Canes National. Home runs, power, down and all. Peter can hit, And the one thing I always tell people all the time, he always just produces when you see him. They go, can he do this? Can he do that? I don't know about this. I don't know about that. But you go watch him, it's like
He
2 for
does it.
3 with 2 hard hit balls, right? They're not pitching to him. He gets the one at bat, he gets one, he gets a hit, squares the ball up, right? He's a guy that performs at a high level, right? And can kind of bounce around and do a lot of things. And I think that's one thing people go, well, what is he? He can do it all, right? And I think that's huge, right? He shows the being able to bounce around and do multiple things. He's going to go down there, and we're going to let him catch, and we're going to showcase him as a catcher. But we might have to put him in the outfield just because of how how it works, and maybe we'll throw him over there at third base. We want to be able to showcase him at multiple different spots because, right, he goes into wherever he goes to, whatever college he's going to end up at. Maybe he goes there and there's an All-American behind the dish, but he can go play third or he can play first. He can do whatever because the one thing that's always going to be there is his bat and the bat and athleticism. Peter, for us, is obviously someone that we've seen in a showcase setting, but we've also seen him play and perform at a high level in gameplay. And I think that's extremely important for him. I know he's been talking to a lot of schools for a long time. I think if this rule wouldn't have changed, I have a feeling he'd be committed. He would not be coming down to the future games for us, but for our, for us, lucky for us, he's still uncommitted and signed up, and he's going to come down there and I know 100% he's going to show out and open up a lot of things for a lot of schools.
Yeah, we're excited to see him. Like you said, he performs every time we see him. So we expect no different here at the future games. And hey, that's our future game roster for the South Carolina portion of the roster. If you want to go see North Carolina's portion, maybe they'll do it on their podcast. Maybe we're not sure. Two different schedules here. But hey, we also have our great and wonderful junior future games as well. And I'm going to run through the roster here, and we're going to kind of talk about a few guys that stand out to us. And we'll start at the top with 2028 Bo Height from Emerald High School infielder, right-handed pitcher who we have seen a lot. Jackson Myers, 2027 catcher from Carolina Forest. Johnny Nypaver, 20. Go ahead, Coach. What?
Yeah, I was going to say he's a repeater.
Yeah, Jackson Myers, repeater, two-timer. Johnny Nypaver, 2027. What was the school again, Coach? I don't have it listed on my list. Providence
Classical.
That's it right there. And he's an outfielder and left-handed pitcher. And then we got Cooper DeVries, 2027 outfielder, right-handed pitcher from that JL Man area. Cody Branham, 2027 catcher, corner infielder. That's Central High School, I guess. When I was in high school, I thought it was Pageland Central, but I guess not. Braden Richardson, 2027 infielder in that Fort Mill area. We have Colt Babbitt, 2027 outfielder, right-handed pitcher from North Central High School. Trip Ostergaard, 2027 James Island. He is a middle infielder. Christian Spivey, 2027 from Lexington, corner infielder. Tymone Abrams, 2028 at Newberry area. He's a left-handed pitcher, outfielder, first baseman. We have Emmanuel Benitez, 2027 from East Side, catcher, third base, right-handed pitcher. Luke Potter from Carolina Forest. He's a 2027 left-handed pitcher. We also have Charles Becker, 2027 from that Oceanside area as a right-handed pitcher. Rome Dorenzo, 2027 first baseman from St. James. And Graham Coleman, 2027 from Lexington, plays infield. And we're waiting on two more, right, Coach, to close it out? Two more to close it out.
One's going to sign up for sure. One is waiting on a little Team USA deal. So we obviously, when you start talking about some guys with Team USA, we're throwing out some talent. I think we're going to run some stuff out. But the one thing I do want to touch on, I know as a whole, right, you spit out the roster. Last year when we rolled into the junior futures, right, it was the first time South Carolina had its own junior futures team. And we're like, at that point in time, I don't know how many young guys we saw. And we're like, we're social media, reaching out to coaches. Hey, give us some guys. We're going to take them down there and we see what happens. And we rolled out a really good roster, right?
Yes.
Now maybe this is going to look bad upon us because we rolled out a really good roster and we had a bunch of commit. Now the commitment thing's going to be different with the rule,
Yeah.
but maybe we just kind of did it on a hope and a prayer last year when we rolled out. This year, I'm going to go ahead and 95% of this roster we've seen that have come to Rising Stars events or our main events. So it has been, for us, it's been huge with these events for these younger guys for them to come see it. Whether it's been a Rising Stars event or a Team Carolina event or a preseason all state or a scout day with the organization, we've seen almost every single one of these kids. And I think that's been huge. And the couple we haven't, the high school coaches have reached out and go, you guys got to take this guy. In which that's huge for us when we have the high school coaches, right? We do a ton of stuff with obviously the travel ball groups and the travel organizations. But for us, when we got high school coaches reaching out, telling us we got to take guys, that's big time, especially for these younger guys. So this will be neat for us because we have seen, like I said, almost every single one of these kids has come to an event previous. Whereas last year it was like, let's see what we got, going down there, Now we've seen all these guys where it goes, and a lot of these, right, a lot of these young men have guys that come to our first Rising Stars event
Yes.
last fall, last fall, and they've been able to come back and we've seen them and it's been neat to see the growth of that Rising Stars, how it's built into this roster now, and that's the purpose of those. Right, that's the part of the purpose for those Rising Stars events for us is to help build this talented team, talented roster, and to also help those guys kind of go through so-called an initial showcase and learn a little bit, and help them kind of relax and move forward with this whole process.
Yeah, no doubt. Here's how we'll do this. We'll talk about, obviously, we'd love to talk about every kid on the junior futures, and we'll get to that as we break down that junior future games. We'll talk about one kid that we're kind of really excited to see, and I'll kind of start us off. It's going to be, we only have two 2028s on the roster, Coach, and I'm going to pick Tymone Abrams. We saw him Rising Stars down there in Rock Hill. The athleticism is real. Obviously, left-handed hitter that swung the bat really well, and he did use the drop 3 during that Rising Stars event. Important there. But got in the outfield. I think he was low 80s in outfield velocity, and then got to first base and threw it well as well. But I'm excited to see how the bat speed's real as well. Excited to see how he can perform at those junior future games. We hadn't seen him pitch, but heard he pitches. So maybe we'll have him pitch in junior futures, but excited to see how he performs on that stage as well.
Yeah, he was. We'd heard a lot of good things right about him leading into that, and he did not disappoint when he rolled out there. It was kind of like, ooh, like this guy. Again, that was like another one we talked about earlier. It ain't hard to pick some of those ones out.
No, it isn't at all. That one's easy.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick on the 2027 side here, right? I'm gonna stick with the infielder Trip Ostergaard. So he, it was neat. When we were running our Team Carolina event in Charleston, I got an email from his dad saying, "Hey, we really want to come to this event. We're off playing somewhere else. We're going to be getting in. Can we? We'll slide you in the back end, right?" He'll end up getting there on time, making it there, and Trip, he defensively, infield wise, right away, first ground ball, hit him and you go, that's how it's supposed to look, right? Swung the bat well, ran well, kind of all the measurables were in the right side, but he has been doing it at a high level all summer long as well, right? Goes down to the 15U national championships at Lake Point with PBR, wears it out. His dad sent me a clip the other day of him making a play up the middle in a tournament that looked like you'd be watching it on the big league game, right? Ball up the middle, incredible play, shows the athleticism, shows the range. So he's going to be a really, really, really fun one to watch him bounce around on the infield with the bat and show out while he's there, because it's pretty easy for him while watching him bounce around in that infield. So it's going to I think we could probably, like you said, talk about every single one of those guys and things that they've done so far and the excitement. But but Tripp in that middle infield is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll talk about these guys as we break down those junior future games and future games after the event and during the event. Have some live interviews going on down there in Atlanta at beautiful Lake Point. So that's going to wrap us up there. Top prospect games are still live, right, Coach? So make sure they're filling up.
We've closed the position out already. So obviously, if that tells you anything, you need to know from the registrations. We've already, we've already beaten last year's stuff already with sign up. So, talented guys coming in here with the great numbers. And like I said, we've already had to close out one position. We're getting close on another one. So, if you got those invites or you want to request it, go ahead and request that invite, and we're taking them. But we're almost a month away from that thing. We've already had to close out one position. So that's big time move right there. So we're fired up and we're ready for that one. Down there at beautiful Patriots Point,
beautiful
Couch Charleston,
with the best podcast. Not the podcast, the best playlist. There we go.
Best playlist, yeah.
Playlist.
Maybe we can add the best podcast ours to their playlist there during the event. Might as well podcast during the event. But I can't wait to listen to Coach Holbrook's playlist down there.
That's why I go down there. It's not for the talent, it's to hear Coach Holbrook's music. So that's going to do us for episode 49. On episode 50, which will be sometime next week before we kick off those junior futures and future games, we're going to talk about the schedule release and the competition in which our team Carolinas will face. So from all of us here at PBR South Carolina, have a great week.